I went out to buy the cheapest Fujifilm X camera that I could, and I could not believe the prices nowadays. I mean, some of these cameras are over a decade old and still command $400 to $500. Even the cheapest one I could find, the Fujifilm XH1, which is a very entry-level camera, was $300 to $400. And no offense to that camera, I'm sure it's great, but that is just not at all worth it in my opinion. But then I noticed something interesting. Despite all the recent Fujifilm hype hiking up the prices, there seemed to be one Fujifilm X camera sliding under the radar, unaffected by these prices. It's a recent camera too, with some really high specs, and I think the only undervalued Fujifilm X camera out there. And that's this camera, the Fujifilm XH1. And it's a steal right now. I bought this XH1 and the battery grip for $650, which I think is an amazing deal. So what's the catch? There's always a catch. If you watch YouTube camera reviews, which you probably do because you're watching this, you might notice that reviewers like to categorize cameras into kind of three categories. They say this camera is for still shooters, this camera is for video shooters, and this is a hybrid camera, meaning it shoots really good video. But anytime I hear the word hybrid, my mind immediately translates to not a stills camera. This camera is not good for photography, it's just good for video. And I think I'm not the only one who hears it that way. Or maybe I am, you let me know. But that's obviously not true. Just because a camera can shoot great video doesn't mean it all of a sudden stinks at taking photos. In this case, I've always completely overlooked the Fujifilm X-H1 because most people talk about its excellent video capabilities and kind of ignore the photo side of things. And the video capabilities are great. I'm not a video guy, so I can't speak with much authority here, but the video quality is awesome. There's features like the film simulations, which can apply to video, and they're fun and they look great for noobs like me who can't color grade to save their life. There's mic input. Video autofocus is pretty good if you rely on that. There's 5-axis sensor stabilization that works in the video mode. Tons of settings to get the bit rate and the format you want. It even shoots F-Log. I've never used that. I just feel like that's something that a reviewer should say. It's a solid package. People forget that at the time, the Fujifilm X-H1 was Fujifilm's flagship X camera, and it shows. The build feels super premium. This is up to snuff with the medium format cameras that they make, and it's super comfy to hold. I do like tiny mirrorless cameras sometimes to pocket and play with, but my real love is in those larger DSLR style bodies, and this somehow merges the two by not actually being a large camera, but having tons of real estate to hold on to, especially with this great optional battery grip. And actually, speaking of those DSLRs, I am a guy, one of those weird guys that likes DSLRs and optical viewfinders still. But the XH1 knocks out of the park with a really fantastic electronic viewfinder that is a joy to use, even from someone who still prefers optical viewfinders. It's definitely high enough resolution to make sure your shots are in focus. And besides the occasional lag I get in some shooting modes through the EVF, it is a good experience. You get the manual shutter speed and ISO dials like you do on other Fuji cameras, but instead of having the manual exposure compensation dial, you get this large LCD screen at the top for settings. From what I've researched, it's not an e-ink screen, but it sure looks like that. And it's not a game changer at all for me, but as I've used the camera more and more, I find myself checking it more and more often and utilizing it, and it is really nice. And the original reason I was looking for yet another Fuji camera was to adapt crazy lenses to a mirrorless camera. And Fuji is just a really fun system for that. For manual lens lovers, I think you'll really like the Fujifilm XH1. Focus peaking works well in the viewfinder or on the back LCD screen. The LCD screen does tilt down, by the way, which I think is a must for this type of camera, and it makes manual focusing from the hip super easy. When I have used autofocus glass on the camera, it's worked great. Super snappy and accurate autofocus. Honestly, it makes it super fun to shoot. Maybe it's just because I'm used to really old cameras with bad autofocus, but I think it's really good. If you're somebody who likes minimal editing and getting as close to what you want out of the camera as possible, especially when it pertains to colors, then this camera is for you. All the images I get from the camera have extremely pleasant colors to begin with, and that's been my experience generally with all the Fujis I've tried. The camera's shot-to-shot time is also very quick, and the buffer holds plenty of shots, so it just feels like a really fast, responsive camera. If this was my only camera, I'd be super happy with it. What a great package at a great price. And if you're looking at other affordable Fujifilms right now, trying to figure out which one to pick, I have a whole playlist here because I've reviewed the XE1, the XT1, and some other ones recently, so you can check those out over here. Until next time, happy snapping.